Now, I'm a little late to the party, but I do want to address this J and Shila incident on his, I think his Instagram live, I think it was. He was on some live. I watched a few clips. I don't get too deep into those things. So I did watch just a few clips just because I know people were talking about it, and there are still some lessons to be able to learn from that. On his live, he tells Sheila, who's sitting right next to him on camera, that it's his live, it's not her live. These are his followers online, his fans online. She doesn't dictate what gets to go on. And he said that he doesn't even get to dictate what goes on, that they dictate what goes on. Meaning his followers, meaning the people who are hopping on the stream, those are the people on his live who essentially control what's going on. But then he just vilifies her, right? He lights her up, he embarrasses her on that live. I think on that same live, he also talks about going back to his estranged wife. What's her name? Princess Love. And now she's in the camera, boo-hoo crying. Boo-hoo crying. And Ray is just sitting there just like, this is what it is. And then I think I remember him saying something like, kind of alluding to the fact that she wants to be the center of attention. Something like that. Don't remember it word for word, but something like that. And here's what we can learn from this. See, first of all, ladies, you got to make sure that the man you're with has the right character. All right, make sure that he has the right character. Make sure that he's actually following and serving the Lord. Because I'm not sure what Ray J's relationship is with God, but I mean, we can tell that he is frequently in public under the influence of something, right? Under the influence of something. So you got to make sure your man has the right character. You got to make sure that he is upstanding, and I mean upstanding in the way that he wants to keep his temple clean. He wants to keep his body clean. He's not overindulging in anything. And if you want me to be very, very honest, give you the real nitty gritty, your man shouldn't be involved in any kind of drug use. I don't care if it's weed. I don't care if I consider smoking to be a drug because it's addictive. Weed, cigarettes, alcohol, all of these things lead to addictive issues, right? Because then you have to go through, when they're on something, they're not themselves. When they're off of something, they may have withdrawal symptoms, and they're not themselves because they want more of whatever is continually feeding their bodies. All right, so you don't want to be with a man who is leaning on a crutch one way or the other. That's not the Lord, because there's nothing else that he can lean on that's going to help him in his life, and is going to help him love you better and love the family that you want better. There's nothing to be gained from that. So you got to be careful with that. The man's character, what he's doing, is he's taking care of his body. All right, and then it gets a little bit deeper. When you're dealing with a man, you have to make sure that he's actually over his ex. I'm going to pause right there purposely so that can soak in. It gives me an opportunity to get my throat together. Has he gotten over his ex? And it's more than just asking, oh, what was the rest of your life with your ex? Okay, all right, do you still love her? Okay, it's more than that. I don't even know, did Ray even get officially a divorce? Y'all let me know. I don't know if he officially got a divorce from Princess Love or not. I'm not. Make sure that, especially if he was married, that the divorce is over. That the divorce has actually happened, right? That he's actually no longer with that person. That's not just a separation. make sure that you're just not his new plaything while he's trying to figure out what he wants to do next in his life, and he just doesn't want to be lonely, he doesn't just want to be bored, so now you're his new plaything. Make sure you're not that person. Make sure that you and him have an understanding of where this is heading, right? That you want marriage. Sometimes folks get out of a marriage and they don't want to get married again. So make sure that you are telling your man, your booski, your boo, listen, I eventually see myself getting married. I know you're a divorcee. Is this really what you want? And see what he says. Then it gets deeper than that. Why did you get a divorce? If they are divorced, why did you get a divorce? Because they're separated, you need to leave that alone. Don't get yourself involved in all of that, because now you're getting real messy and you get into territory where if you are willing to be, even if someone is separated and you hop in there, that not only makes you messy, but it makes you look like you don't value yourself and you actually become a side piece, whether you know it or not. You think you're becoming the main thing, but you actually become a side piece. And you want to be the main dish, you want to be the main attraction, you want to be his main focus, you want to be the apple of his eye, not on the side. All right, you don't want to be nobody's jump off. So you got to find out what exactly happened, right? Because in finding out what happened and getting the truth and why the divorce happened, you're going to dig more and more into this man's motives, his mindset, how he thinks about women, how he thinks about relationships. And that may give you enough insight to fight or flight. And I know fight or flight doesn't really apply to this, but here's how I'm using fight or flight today. Fight for your relationship, or flight meaning you bounce, you get out of there, you hightail out of it, you run away, you get out of there as fast as you possibly can. If he says something like, yeah, so I'm the man, and like I was trying to tell her, like, I'm the man, so you gotta do like what I say because I lead the household, and she wasn't trying to hear that. So I just we had to go our separate ways. We had to have irreconcilable differences. Yeah, there's some red flags in there. You dig a little bit deeper because there's some red flags in there. You gotta make sure that he wasn't trying to be a puppeteer, and his ex, wasn't for being a puppet. All right, so these are things we got to consider. And now, not only was Reggie being disrespectful, but then saying he wanted to go back to his ex. Ladies, you gotta stop allowing a man to tear you down and then thinking it's okay. For her to sit on that live and then just boo-hoo cry in the camera, it sends a certain message. When he ain't acting right, you gotta have enough strength to pick yourself up and get out and go and cry somewhere else. Go to your family's house. Go to your girlfriend's house. Go see your pastor. Go do whatever you need to do, but don't sit and let him publicly embarrass you. Because now you're communicating that this is okay, that his behavior is okay. Don't ever allow a man to publicly and even privately, but definitely not publicly, right? He shouldn't be disrespecting you, period, but definitely not publicly disrespect you like that. Those are the lessons I think we could pull from that. Let me know what I missed.